It was an ordinary Sunday afternoon in Zamfara State, a place where customs and traditional authority are intertwined with every aspect of daily life. The dusty roads connecting the villages and cities of northern Nigeria were usually full of activity. Merchants transporting goods, students traveling to school, farmers returning from the fields. But that day, routine was shattered by an event no one could have anticipated. Around midday, the convoy of Emir Alaji Abdul, Khadir, Ibrahim, Bellow was traveling along the Anka Road, a route known for its dense forests and historical importance for regional connectivity. What was supposed to be a procession of dignity and tradition turned into a scene of chaos and death. The Emir, the central figure in Zamfara for decades, has always been a symbol of cultural and spiritual authority. His mere presence on a road, accompanied by the Dogaray guards, evoked instinctive respect among the population. The Dogaray are not ordinary protectors. They are guardians of centuries of heritage, dressed in traditional uniforms that represent the power and continuity of the Emirate. Their training, based on absolute loyalty and ceremonial discipline, distinguishes them from any modern security force. Yet, on that Sunday, even the experience and devotion of these men were not enough to repel a carefully planned attack. The ambush was executed with alarming precision. Armed men emerged from the bushes lining the road, aiming directly at the heart of the convoy. This was not an opportunistic robbery or a random attack. It was designed to undermine the Emir's authority, to challenge the very structure of respect that had defined the state for generations. Bullets shattered the usual calm, turning the procession into a desperate fight for survival. The scene was one of utter confusion. Vehicles scattered, guards tried to form a protective perimeter, and civilians sought shelter wherever they could. Among the victims was Jamalu, affectionately known as Jamu, an emblematic figure of the Emir's court. His role was not merely ceremonial. He held a large, colorful ceremonial umbrella over the Emir's head during public appearances, a tangible symbol of authority and dignity. When struck by gunfire, Jamu did not only suffer fatal injuries. His fall represented a symbolic blow to the continuity of the traditions he embodied. The urgent efforts to transport him to Gusau General Hospital were heroic but insufficient. Despite medical attempts, his death was confirmed shortly after, leaving a profound void in the family, the palace, and the entire Zamfara community. To grasp the magnitude of this attack, it is crucial to understand the role of traditional authority in northern Nigeria. Emirs are not merely ceremonial leaders. Their influence permeates political, social, and cultural life. Loyalty to them has long been a pillar of local stability, especially in regions where the state's presence is weak or irregular. The Dogaray, in turn, are the embodiment of that stability. Men trained in traditional weapons, escort tactics, and ceremonial protocol. Their work combines physical protection with the preservation of symbols that reinforce social cohesion. The Sunday ambush, however, revealed that these traditional methods have limits when confronted with organized modern violence. The attack not only affected the convoy but shook the perception of security across the state. The Anka Road, a vital artery for commerce and transportation, became a space of terror. Nearby communities, accustomed to travelers and trade, now live under the shadow of constant fear. The organized violence and apparent impunity of the attackers amplified the sense of vulnerability, making even everyday travel feel dangerous. Local journalists attempted to obtain official statements from the Zamfara State Police, but information was scarce and often vague. This lack of communication has heightened public frustration and the perception of institutional neglect. Attacks of this nature are not isolated incidents. The region has endured decades of growing insecurity, marked by ambushes, kidnappings, and road robberies. Each event erodes trust in institutions and demonstrates the difficulty of ensuring protection for both traditional leaders and ordinary citizens. The choice of targets, in this case an emir and his court, highlights a worrying pattern. Criminal actors seek not only economic gain, but also psychological and symbolic impact, challenging historical authority and social structures. Debate over the state's response is intense and complex. Protecting emirs raises dilemmas between cultural respect and operational effectiveness. The Dogaray, disciplined and loyal though they are, carry traditional weapons that make them vulnerable to modern firearms. Some experts suggest the need for specialized military accompaniment during travel, while others argue that the more sustainable solution is dismantling the criminal networks operating in forested areas to ensure road safety for everyone. Each option involves trade-offs. Increased military presence may compromise the ceremonial image of authority, whereas focusing on intelligence and police operations demands resources and coordination that have historically been limited in the region. Jamilul's death has had profound repercussions beyond the Emir's palace. His passing became a symbol of the risk even those considered untouchable face. The families of the Dogaray and ordinary citizens now feel a shared vulnerability. Communities that traditionally viewed the Emirs as guarantors of justice and stability are beginning to question the state's capacity to fulfill that role. The perception of insecurity translates into behavioral changes. Fewer journeys along open roads, greater distrust of transportation services, and a rise in generalized anxiety among the population. Security experts suggest the ambush was meticulously planned. The selection of location, coordination among attackers, and timing indicate operational intelligence and prior knowledge of the convoy's movements. This raises questions about vulnerabilities within the protection system and possible leaks of information. Federal and state authorities now face the challenge of reconstructing a protection framework that balances tradition, culture, and modern security needs without undermining the legitimacy of local leadership. Furthermore, the incident has sparked debate about institutional communication effectiveness. Delays and unclear official statements create an informational vacuum that media often fill with speculation, amplifying public anxiety. Clear protocols for reporting security incidents and preventive strategies are essential. Without reliable communication, perceptions of vulnerability grow, and confidence in institutions erodes over time. Politically, the episode has significant implications. State and federal leaders must consider the balance between traditional authority and state intervention. Providing security for emirs is not only a matter of personal protection, but a key component in maintaining social stability in areas with limited government presence. Jamilul's fall shows that inaction or insufficient planning can trigger a legitimacy crisis, threatening societal cohesion and the continuity of centuries-old cultural structures. From a sociological perspective, the attack highlights tension between tradition and modernity. While society adheres to historical codes of conduct and authority, contemporary violence disregards these limits. The result is a direct confrontation between cultural symbolism and operational security realities. This conflict raises essential questions about how communities can preserve heritage while adapting to emerging risks, and how institutions can evolve to protect both cultural identity and citizens' lives. Prevention strategies suggest a multifaceted approach: active intelligence to anticipate attacks, strategic deployment of modern security forces without undermining tradition, and community programs to strengthen local vigilance. The Dogaray could receive complementary training in modern protective techniques, while coordination between state police, federal forces, and traditional leaders becomes indispensable to reduce risks. The implication is clear. Security can no longer rely solely on loyalty and ceremonial symbolism. It must integrate contemporary tactical capabilities. The psychological impact of the ambush remains palpable. Communities along the Anka Road have experienced increased stress and distrust. The violence has left an indelible mark on collective memory. The attack convoy, the gunfire, Jamilul's fall, the Dogaray's helplessness, all contribute to a sense of institutional fragility. Social recovery requires not only reinforced physical security, but also trust building through transparency, effective communication, and concrete action against those responsible. Institutionally, the episode has prompted reflection on the need to modernize protection protocols for traditional leaders. Integrating technology, improving interagency coordination, and redefining emergency procedures have become priorities. The goal is to protect emirs while preserving their symbolic role, ensuring cultural authority is not subordinated to external threats. The ambiguity surrounding the attackers adds another layer of complexity. While attack patterns suggest armed gangs experienced in ambush tactics, the lack of concrete information about their identities and motives creates uncertainty. This lack of clarity complicates the development of effective preventive strategies and underscores the need to strengthen intelligence and surveillance systems, as well as foster collaboration between communities, local authorities, and federal forces. Looking ahead, Jamilul's assassination could mark a turning point in how Zamfara and other northern regions approach the security of traditional leaders. Citizens and leaders are forced to reconsider protection strategies, prioritize preventive intervention, and reevaluate the relationship between tradition and modernity in a context of increasing risk. The central question remains: how can the survival of emblematic cultural figures be ensured without compromising the safety of the broader population? The event has also sparked broader debate about protecting critical infrastructure and main roads. If such a visible and respected convoy can be attacked with impunity, any citizen in transit faces similar risks. Security policies must therefore consider both individual protection and collective safety, implementing measures that reduce vulnerability for all road users. The memory of Jamilou remains a silent reminder of fragility that lurks even in the most revered spaces. His death symbolizes the urgent need for a comprehensive review of security, institutional coordination, and cultural protection. Emirs remain pillars of identity and social cohesion, but their integrity now depends on consciously adapting to 21st century challenges, integrating discipline, technology, and strategy within a framework of respect for tradition. As communities mourn, authorities face the challenge of restoring public confidence and reestablishing a sense of security. The episode exposes not only operational failures, but also the fragility of a system that has long relied on tradition to counter modern criminal force. Reflection is twofold: protecting those who represent centuries of history and ensuring no ordinary citizen is left at the mercy of violence. The Zamfara convoy case demonstrates that security and culture are not mutually exclusive. They must coexist consciously and strategically. The lesson is clear. Without systematic interventions, effective coordination, and active vigilance, even the most revered symbols can fall victim to violence, taking with them the trust of an entire society. Ultimately, the tragedy forces a profound reflection on the future of traditional authority and daily life in Zamfara. Jamilou's death is a warning that respect and cultural reverence cannot replace preparation, institutional action, and tangible protection. Decisions made in the coming months will determine whether the Emirate can maintain its historical dignity in the face of modern insecurity, and whether the population can regain confidence that its roads, leaders, and most cherished symbols are truly protected. Moving forward will be complex but unavoidable. Modern security cannot ignore cultural roots, and tradition cannot ignore contemporary threats. Zamfara stands at the crossroads of this reality, compelled to redefine how it protects those who symbolize its history, while safeguarding the citizens who trust that both the state and traditional authority can ensure safety and continuity. Respect for tradition, preservation of culture, and citizen security must converge. As Zamfara confronts these difficult questions, every decision will be observed by a population demanding both justice and protection, understanding that the continuity of its history now depends more than ever on the ability to adapt without losing its essence.